Hi everyone, welcome back to the studio for this week's episode of Tutorial Tuesday. My name's Kaylee. I paint wet on wet landscape oil paintings, and today you're here for a step-by-step oil painting. I thought we would do a really fun mountain, waterfall, sunrise scene, a little bit of atmospheric effect, and some mistiness. If you'd like to paint along with me, be sure to check the description below for the paint list. Let's jump right into the canvas up here. I've already prepped my canvas with a thin, even coat of liquid white, and it's ready to go. This is my standard 18 by 24 inch canvas. I'm going to start with my 1-inch brush and go right into some phthalo blue and phthalo green. I'm just going to mix them right on the brush. And I'm just going to start on the top corner and blend this down. I want it to be a really soft sky today, so we're not going to do too much detail with the blue. Just allow it to blend with the liquid white as we move down, and it'll lighten up. Lighter and lighter as we get lower and closer to the horizon. Oh, something like that. And I'm just going to use that same color. Nothing crazy. And we just start from the bottom, moving up. I'll do the same thing on the other side. And we're trying to leave a little bit of a light area here with our colors by just not bringing the brush in all the way. When we start on the outside and bring it in, you let up pressure as we get close. And it's going to leave that nice brushed edge there. That's what we want. Nice long horizontal strokes. And we want it nice and dark on our corner. We'll just get a little bit more paint down there. Something like that. Pick up the blending brush and just soften that. Just want to get all the brush strokes out so we can't see them. And we soften this. Oh, just until you're happy with it. I like to get the rounded edges on the canvas a little bit of attention too. And we'll just go all the way down and soften the bottom as well. You're going to start picking up a bunch of liquid white. You can kind of just move that around in the center. A little bit of dirt. And all the way down. Already, if we wanted to put a nice little stream there, you can have a little sheen on the water. But we're going to do waterfalls, so that's just for something else. Let's build us a few little clouds in the sky. I'm going to use the fan brush, and we'll pick up a little bit of our sky color right on the fan brush. And then we'll mix that with some alizarin crimson. Let's pick up a little white, a little more crimson. Let's start with a little bit of an idea of some background noise here. Maybe we'll get some more white. Lighten this up. Get some crimson. Let's go for a little bit of a more pink. I'm going to wipe off the fan brush and just go right into the titanium white. A good bit of that. Indian yellow and bright red. Now we're going to thin that down with some liquid white. We should get a nice bright little off-white color here. Let's brighten it up a little bit more. That's nice. I'll just dance in a few little colors in there, and I'm going to soften out this cloud. We just got some little hints of color here, and they're really going to pop here in a minute. Just clean off that brush on the bottom down here. Lift. All right, now let's clean off the fan brush one more time. Let's really wipe it out. Get some of that blue out of there. And then I'm going to go right into the titanium white and build a nice thick pink color. Good bit of thick titanium white. Fill the bristles, and we'll go right into the bright red. Touch of Indian yellow again, just the tiniest bit. I'm going to pick just the tiniest bit of liquid white. I just want this to be kind of a medium thickness, not completely thick. And we're just going to pop on, kind of like the light is hitting the back side of this cloud. Pick up the blending brush and we'll soften that back. I've got a bit of blue on my brush, so get that cleaned off. Do a little more. Same brush, just a tiny bit of paint. It's not super loaded. And we're just going to pop on a little more color. Just some medium lightness color there. Not too bright yet. We have to build this up. Now, clean fan brush again. Get some more titanium white. This time a little bit thinner than the other one. We're just building on this bright red, liquid white. And our light source is coming from the left-hand side today. So let's really pop on, or this is the right, actually. Apparently I don't know my left from my right. I'm just pressing with like a little bit of a scrub. But mainly press that fan brush up. Moving further away from the light source as we move out this way. So we'll just kind of tickle on a few. Maybe. We've got a few more little baby duders out here. Yeah. Soften that back. Good little lift up here too. Alright, I am going to use my sable brush, some titanium white, and a little bit of Indian yellow and bright red. I'm going to mix those. I'm going to work just the tiniest bit on our horizon down here. Let's do much more white. Let's get a bit of this and right down in our horizon area. Let's see if we can't add just a touch of sun. Grab some more white and a touch of liquid white. Just just soften this back here. Just blending it in this area with all of the liquid white. I really want to soften it, but just add a little pop of kind of sun coming down here. Grab just a touch more titanium white. And blending brush. Seeing how dirty it is. Just soften it until it kind of disappears. And the lines in between the two. Nice. Maybe we'll do a few little clouds just down on top of that. We'll grab some of those same colors, a touch of our blues, some crimson, and just right over the top of that lovely brightness, we'll just kind of pop in a little something. Maybe we'll bring these down. Just to sort of bring those two together. I'm going to use my fan brush to soften this. You can only do this if you know that you have most of your paint out, so double check that. But I didn't really load too much in here to start. So we can kind of apply a little and then scrub it around. We'll just soften that back with the blending brush. Fun sky today. Love those colors. Let's build a little mountain. Try not to cover the whole thing up, but you never know. I'm going to build a little bit of color here. We'll just start with our base of those same colors we had. Phthalo green, phthalo blue, that's what's in our sky. Alizarin crimson, that's our clouds. We'll just marble that. Don't overmix. It's really, really important. And just pick it up and flip it over once, maybe twice. All right. Once we've mixed up the paint, we need to pull it out into a pretty big, pretty flat pile. This helps us to load our knife. We're just going to cut off a little roll, so we've got a nice little roll on the end of the knife. And we'll build us a nice big old mountain here. Now we fill in our mountain from the top, pulling our paint, making sure it's nice and dark. And we can shape it by pulling the knife in our nice lovely directions here, always angling back up towards the top. All right, now we're going to soften out the bottom with the blending brush. This helps us to build this atmospheric effect and push back the mountain, gives us distance. Flat at the bottom, and then we lift up with our mountain. All right, now we're going to build up some highlights and shadows. Just going to take our mountain mixture and pile that up, kind of get it out of the way for us. And for our highlight, we will use titanium white. Let's mix it right into this area where we had our mountain color. We're going to add bright red. Make it a nice kind of pinky purple color. That'll do. Maybe, I think I'm going to do a touch more crimson. There we go. And for our shadow color, right over here, we'll grab some of our mountain mixture and a little more blue and lightly marble that for our blue mixture. We'll cut off a little roll of paint and start our highlights down on this right hand side. And we just drag the knife right out. Always cutting off a new roll of paint. Sometimes you have to wipe off your knife to keep it clean, so we're not spreading around too much, but usually you can just go right into the paint. Now we'll do a tiny bit on some of these here. And our shadow. We always want to start with what's furthest away when we're doing our mountains. And if you start there and move closer, moving slowly, step by step, you'll get there. And in just a couple of minutes, you'll have a completed mountain and you'll think, wow, where did that come from? I just pulled that out with a little bit of paint. But you can do it. I know you can. these highlights, we put a shadow. Moving closer. Now a little bit more on our highlight side with this first color. Saw that one spot wanted to fix. Now we'll lighten it, lift it with your blending brush, just softens out the base. Really helps us build that distance. Now let's do a tiny bit more on just a couple areas here. And then I'm going to mix up a little bit of a peach color, kind of like our clouds. We even have some right over here. Let's see what that looks like. Indian yellow, bright red. Now, with this, we're going to go right up and pull some little pops of sun. Kind of reminds me of an orange sherbet. I like it. Just a little hint right over here, maybe. Now I'm going to take some titanium white and just the tiniest bit of our mountain mixture. Nice, bright little pop of a sheen right here. A little bit more white. Now you can go right into your highlight and pull it down a little bit onto your shadow side, and it really brings it all together there. Definitely have to wipe off your knife afterwards. Let's do just a touch more Indian yellow. I want just a pop of gold. Real bright. Oh, that's so fun. I don't want to get too carried away. Alright, just the finishing touches on this mountain. Just kind of soften all of the base and lift. Now, we are going to put in a few little misty clouds right around the base of this mountain. I'm just using my dirty 1-inch brush from the background earlier. It's perfect. It's the perfect color. And we'll just tap. Need some more white apparently. It's got to be nice and thick. Nice and thick. There we go. Nice little train there. Clouds and mistiness coming in. Let's see about a touch more. Trying to keep them nice and flat. There we go. Now, blend that out with the blending brush. Really want to disperse the bottom, and here in the middle we'll just lightly tap. Right on top, fan brush, liquid white, same color, but medium texture now. And we're just going to dance on a little bit. Still make sure there's a little bit of those teal colors in there. A little bit thinner. Yeah, soften that again, just at the bottom of those layers. Lift and just brush them back, give them a little pull. Now the last thing that we need on these clouds is just the teensiest bit of our gold, and that's going to go all the way over on the edge, right by our sun, on our light source. Mix up just the tiniest bit, which I have a lot actually, it's not a tiny bit. And we'll just pop in a little right over here. Blending brush. Not too much because it is yellow and we've got a lot of blue. Just soften that back a little. All right. Now, on to the next bit. Let's build a little bit of tree line here. I think I'm going to use my fan brush. We'll mix up a little bit of our mountain mixture again. This time less white. So we'll use alizarin crimson, phthalo green, and phthalo blue. Nice and mixed. We'll use the fan brush, load it up nice and full. You've got to wiggle through the paint and then drag it. That's how we load our fan brush. Wiggle and drag. And I think we'll do a little tree line somewhere up in here. Just building our little tree line out here. Nothing too crazy. You could put a lot of detail in this, but I don't really want to. Nice and dark though. Let's clean that up a little bit. The most important part when we do these trees is the top. It needs to be nice and thick, and you always need to connect those little bits. If you leave a big gap, it looks pretty bad. So you gotta connect them. When we do a really distant foothill, you want to keep these lines a little bit closer, like not have really drastic trees and differences of your trees. It's going to make it look a lot more distant. Some really simple tricks just to push it back. And one of my favorites is just blending it. Blend out the base with a big 2-inch brush. And just barely tapping into the base of them. Not picking up too much paint. Allowing it to blend with the liquid white. And get out all of those little tap marks by lifting straight up. Even go right up into those with a nice tight blending stroke and soften them out even more. Just get rid of that paint, no big deal. Lift straight up. All right, now let's do some more mistiness with the 1-inch brush, and we've already had it going with our titanium white. We'll just keep it going. We're just gonna tap right here and build some mist. And then we're going to soften it even more with our 2-inch brush. want to get rid of all of those little tap marks. Really soften it. Nice and gently, you can get rid of all of those little imperfections, and it just softens it right all out. Now let's build some real dark stuff here. I'm going to take all of my darks here, and we're adding in sap green now. A little bit of crimson, definitely more sap green than the alizarin crimson, but we also have our phthalo green, phthalo blue, and alizarin crimson. Nice dark to the green side. Really mix this now. That's a little bit more green than I want. We'll just put a little bit of crimson in there, kind of dull it down just a smidge. And we'll add a touch of Van Dyke brown as well. Nice and dark color there. And we're going to use the 1-inch brush. So I'm going to just clean out some of the titanium white that we got in there from our little clouds and mistiness. We're basically going to fill a good percentage of the rest of this canvas with our dark now. We just drag the 1-inch brush through all of that dark. Drag it, flip it over, and we've got our little rounded edge at the top. Let's do a couple layers on both sides, and we'll soften them back. We're just pressing up, allowing the bristles to bend. All right, and we've got a good bit of color here. I'm going to pick out where my waterfall is going to be. And we're going to start adding some colors into these rocks here soon. Now we'll add some sticks and twigs to these trees back here. They're pretty distant. Let's use the fan brush. We'll go into just a touch of liquid white, and we'll pick up some of our dark mixture. Let's add a little bit of Van Dyke brown to that. and some crimson, just a little bit. And we've got our light source coming from the right, so we're going to get a few little pops on some of these trees out here. Let's do a touch of Indian yellow now. Little bits, not too much color, but just enough that you can make out a few layers of hills back here. Just changing out the colors here and there to give a little bit of variety. I could scrape in a few more sticks. They're kind of distant, so we don't want too much detail. Now let's do our shadow side over here. We'll use some Indian yellow instead of or yellow ochre instead of Indian yellow. Liquid white and our green mixture. Let's pick up a little bit of our greens and blues here too. Just a lot of our blues and yellow ochre. Yeah, something like that. Let's do some browns now. Just gonna mix those on the palette here together. And a little bit more Van Dyke brown in the middle there. Now we need this dark. Be a good bit down here in the center. I'm just going to use my 1-inch brush, with all of this green dirt on it. I'll use that. Soften it back. Just going to pull as if there's some rock kind of into the edge. Let me just kind of pull it out. A 1-inch brush, nice and dirty, doesn't matter. Now, I need some more Van Dyke Brown. Where did I put it? Van Dyke. Maybe some dark sienna, just in case. I don't know. Okay, now let's do a few little areas. Maybe there's some more rock in here. Maybe in there. And for sure, right here where we're going to have our big waterfall coming out, we're going to have lots of rocks. And maybe here we'll have some pretty visible rocks. I'm just going to kind of wiggle out some thick texture on these. Pulling down, but kind of giving it some movement. And then maybe we'll do a little bit over here too. Just going to soften these up. Now we're going to build just a tiny bit of a highlight color. Let's do some dark sienna, titanium white, and a little bit of our mountain mixture. We just have some mud over here. We just want to kind of harmonize a few elements there. Maybe a touch of bright red. Marble, that. And we cut off a little roll. Let's do this one. Right on the top, we just pull out a little bit of a highlight, and let's see if we can't put a touch over here, and we'll mix up a little more of a shadow with some blues, Van Dyke Brown. Makes a great shadow color. Got a little bit of phthalo green in there. That's great too. Wonderful colors. Just a nice little start there. Let's see if we can't do a little mist here too. Maybe some titanium white. It says too thick. We'll just wipe off a little bit right here. And we'll do the same thing. Just sometimes you just wipe off a little bit and it'll just do the trick for you. And we can get a little bit of light in there and soften it back. we're going to use this sable brush and go into the titanium white and our dark sienna. Maybe we can get a little bit of this rock color that we've got here. That's nice. We're going to use this to pick out our main waterfall here before we lose our chance. Nice and soft. We'll just pull out a few. Maybe we'll have one right there. Now, some more mistiness happenings. Before we miss our chance again for this, we'll build a little bit. Right, and we can do more on this once we finish our waterfall. Just got to make sure we pick out a few areas so we don't lose them. Now, let us pick out another sable brush, and we're just going to soften back some of these. Kind of fix where they go in to the rock. And we've got to work in stages here, nice and slow. I think we'll clean off the other bigger sable brush we were just using. We're going to create a little mist down here. Up here, we'll have some more mist. Nice and soft. Okay, I think we're about ready. We've got a little bit of our background in. We've got some dark and light. We gotta come in with our main watercolor. Just gonna be a little bit of a blue color. So we'll clean out the fan brush. I've got so many messes over here. Okay, now, what was I doing? Something. Oh yeah, let's do right in here and here. I lost just a tiny bit of this teal color, the phthalo green, and I want to bring just a touch of that back. I've got my fan brush, pretty clean. That's ready. Sable brush, I'm just going to pick up some titanium white and go into the phthalo green. I've got a touch of phthalo blue there as well. The phthalo green is an interesting color. It can really brighten up an area, but it's still kind of a shadow color. Pretty fun like that. Okay, let's leave that for a moment. I'm going to pick up my blending brush. And we'll just disperse a little bit. That'll make it easier for us. Okay, liquid white. And we need some blue. Which I lost most of. I'm using all the colors today. All the colors and then all the paint. Titanium white, liquid white, and blue. We need this to be medium texture. And we're going to go a little more to the blue side, touch of Van Dyke brown, just a touch. And we'll just start this off. A little bit of movement there. And now, right over the top. You can use just the end of the fan brush to get a few little trickles, medium thickness. Right out from in these little rocks here, I got a little bit of one. Just gonna kind of open up the bristles a little bit. little bit more here with the titanium white. Let's use a small sable brush now. And we are going to need this to be a medium thickness titanium white, bright red. And in just a few areas, we're going to dab on some pops of color. Few more here. We're just building the layers. Of this long flowing waterfall. Maybe there's some right here. It's shooting out. And it's just gonna hit a rock. Goes out the other way. Let's do a little lift from the bottom. Just soften those up a little bit. Take some titanium white on the 1-inch or 2-inch brush. Isn't that fun? Don't even really have to worry about the bottom of that. Doesn't matter. Just goes down and goes and goes. Let's do some highlights and some accents here around our grassy edges. We'll just use some of our yellows and our liquid medium here. And go for a little bit of, a little too much there. Maybe we'll do a few trees out here. I'm gonna use we're just going to mix up a tiny bit more dark here. All of our darks all together. Blue, crimson, sap green, phthalo green, Van Dyke brown, whatever you got. Throw it in there. Let's use our dirty fan brush with our dark color here. And we're just going to throw in a few more darks all the way in the front now. And maybe we'll have a couple kind of more specifically bushy trees. We'll just pick some out so they're not just all hills and bushes. And we'll close it off on this side too. Maybe something like that. That looks interesting. Always thinking about the shape of these hills and the angles that you're working on. That stuff matters. Let's do oh, I like this. Fun. Maybe like a few level. Okay, now let's do some branches. Let's cheat. We're just gonna scrape them in again. The easiest trees you'll ever paint because you don't have to paint them. Well, the branches. You know what I mean. Why work harder when we can just work smarter? Okay, now some highlight. Let's do, really want some Indian yellow and yellow ochre. Just mix those two first right on the brush. That's fun. Ooh, and now we'll get just a touch of our dark. Harmonize that up there. Let's add some red now. A little bit of red. Yeah. This side, let's do phthalo green. Phthalo green. Why? Why are all my paints hiding from me? Some kind of mean joke that I played on myself. Okay. Past Kaylee is playing tricks on future Kaylee. Let's just thin that down. We want some phthalo green. Ooh, phthalo green. Such a fun and adventurous color there. We'll just mix those with our yellows. And maybe some crimson. Oh, I like that. Let's see. A little bit lighter. That's the ticket. Let's try it. We'll come out over here and do more yellow ochre. Touch of red and yellow ochre. Nice shadow color. Oh, it's not showing up though, so we lighten it up just a bit. There we go. Now, a little bit with the 2-inch brush here. Let's bring some of this mist in. We bring it right up there, right in front. Look at that. And just soften that. Wipe it off. One thing that I'm seeing, I just want to fix up some of this little cloudy, misty area there. So I'm going to clean off my fan brush really well this time. A little bit of titanium white. Not throwing brushes today, throwing paints. That's fun. Just some titanium white on the fan brush. We need to thin that down. Let's make sure we get kind of a little bit of a muddy color, a little gray, a little blue. Wipe that off. Maybe. Let me just give it a little bit. Now we can just soften. It looks like a rooster's head. I gotta fix that. I don't know if that's making it better. It's almost making it look more like a rooster's head. But there we go. Soften. This just kind of blends the colors and pulls off any of the extra paint so that you can have this next layer stick. There we go. Some nice misty action there. Love it. Maybe we'll swirl this one a little. Okay. I think I'll just do a little touch of colors right up in here, maybe some little grassy areas. I kind of missed some of this tiny little bit over here. You could just throw some little bonus grasses over there, no big deal. Scrapings and sticks and twigs. I think I'm going to sign it. Scripty liner. Liquid white. Just going to get a touch of that today, and then our bright red. That way we can get it to run through all of these thick paints that we've got down here. It has to be really thin. And let's do it right over on this side here. All right, I'm all done with my painting for today. I had a lot of fun painting this waterfall scene. It's just a couple stages to do some really epic and kind of misty waterfall scene. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments below what you think. And if you do decide to paint this painting, send me an email, Kaylee@KayleeRakowski.com. I would love to hear from you. Tune in next week and every week after for my live premiere of Tutorial Tuesday, where every Tuesday at 5 o'clock we watch this video for the very first time on YouTube. I love this part of my week, and I'm really happy to have you all with me. So we'll see you next week. Smile and be happy, friends.